of the world, now I'm living. And the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Hey, it's Ann Perry. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about karmic debts yet again. We're going to be talking about the karmic debt number 19-1 and how does this affect a master number 11 when it shows up in your numerology chart. So the 19-1 produces a very challenging energy to the master number 11. So let's go and explain what that means. So let's talk about karmic debts for a moment. I know some of you may have watched the previous videos, but if you haven't, you need to know that the karmic numbers include 13, 14, 16, and 19. So today we're talking specifically about the number 19. So the karmic debt can also be referred to as a testing number, a warning number, or even a hidden number. But typically, if you have a karmic debt in your chart, once you understand what that karmic debt is all about, you're going to feel it. You'll easily identify with it. It's a big kahuna, right? You're really going to feel it. So basically, the karmic debt number indicates that you've had a debt to pay in this lifetime for actions that you committed or performed in a previous lifetime. So if you're a bit of a badass and you came back as an 11, you said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna really step it up and come as an 11. You might have said, you know what, go big or stay home. Let's bring back some karmic debts with me as well. Might as well kick that stuff to the curb while we're here. So when you see one of these numbers show up as one of the core numbers in your chart, it's a message to you that you are working on issues from the past. So karmic debts hold a much bigger impact than the karmic lessons do. So karmic lessons are very different than karmic debts. The karmic lessons come as a result of missing letters in your birth name. And they produce themes, if you will, that kind of run like, sort of like a computer program that kind of quietly runs along in the background. You don't feel them quite as much. They're there and you kind of know they're there, but the karmic debts, you're going to feel these ones. So where can a karmic debt show up in your chart? Well, it can show up in a few places. The first place we look at is the expression number. So the expression number provides us with our talents and our gifts, and it's calculated from your full birth name on your birth certificate. We can see them in your heart's desire number, which indicates your passion, and it's calculated from the vowels of your full birth name on your birth certificate. It can even show up as a birthday number. So for example, if you're born on the 19th day, then yep, you would have brought forth the karmic debt of the 19. And essences, it can also show up in essences. So what's an essence? Well, the essence comes as a result of looking at your full birth name, okay, in relation to the personal year that you're in. So each one of us is in a personal year from 1 to 9. Each one of those years holds a different theme to it. But, you know, a 9 is a 9 is a 9. You know, if I'm in a 9 year, you're in a 9 year, we're both going to experience a very similar theme. But your essence tells me how are you going to go through that personal year. So when I see a 19-1 essence show up in somebody's chart, that's a bit of a red flag for me. When I see a karmic debt come up, it's a bit of a red flag. It doesn't mean a bad thing, but it's sort of, again, it's a warning number. It's telling me that this is something we have to pay attention to make sure that you know what this means exactly to your journey. So let's take a look at an example of a karmic debt in a master number 11's chart. So here we have the name Susan Parr. Okay, so when we calculate all the letters, remember the expression number is based on all the letters in your birth name. When we assign numeric value to each one of these letters using our Pythagorean chart over here, we recognize that the S vibrates at the number 1. See that? S vibrates at the number 1. The U vibrates at the number 3. The S again is number 1. The A is a 1 and the N equals the 5. So we're going to total up all of those letters and it comes up to an 11. So we're not going to reduce the master number 11 because we don't reduce master number 11s, right? So we're going to leave that alone. Okay, so that's the 11. Now let's look at her last name, Parr. So we know that the P vibrates at the number 7, okay, right here. And we have A equals 1 and the 2 R's equal 9s. Okay, so we're going to add those across. It comes to 26. That's a double digit. Let's reduce it. 2 and 6 equals 8. Now let's add the 11 to the 8 and we come up with a karmic debt of 19-1 for this person's expression number. Moving right along, we look at the heart's desire, and the heart's desire comes from the vowels of the birth name. So in this case we have Mark. A is the only vowel here. It's worth 1 and his last name is Rishi. So I is worth 9, I is worth 9. So we're going to add those together. 1 plus 9 plus 9 comes up to 19-1. And likewise, if you're born on the 19th day, you've got the karmic debt there as well. All right, karmic debt 19-1. What does this mean? Well, those with the karmic debt of the 19-1 have to learn independence and the proper use of power. Okay. The 19-1 was a leader in a previous lifetime. They were hard asses. Okay. They were people that stomped on other people like bugs. They tromped on you like bugs trying to get ahead. They climbed that corporate ladder. They said, eat my dust. Look at me. Look at me. I'm successful. I'm the one that's shining here. I don't care about you peons, right? I'm going to make it to the top, and I don't care what I have to do to get there. Okay. That's the kind of leader that they were. That's the kind of driven person that they were. The 19-1 says that they're going to be forced to stand up for themselves and often be left standing alone. Okay. When we look at the 19-1, it's an interesting combination here. We're sandwiched by 2 1s. Okay. So we've got the 1 here. We've got the 1 here. Both of these are lessons, right? This is the sub-lesson. This is the main lesson. But here's the interesting number in here. This is the 9. The 9 says this is the humanitarian number. It's not all about you. It should be all about somebody else. So when you come in with a 19-1 karmic debt, you're coming in to pay more attention to the other guy, to become the leader by putting everybody else ahead of yourself. Instead of saying, look at me, it's all about look at you, right? So you might be forced to stand up for yourself and often be left standing alone. So the 1, again, is a very independent number, and that's where this aloneness comes into. Difficulties will be faced and overcome through personal struggle. You stubbornly resist help. 19-1s are severely independent, right? And I remember going through a 19-1 essence one time thinking, oh my God, I didn't even know what it was back then. I didn't know numerology back then. But I remember going through it thinking, oh my God, I can't ask for help. Nobody knows how I'm suffering. I just feel so alone. I feel so desperate. It was my dark time. It was a really, really crappy time in my life. Now, the beautiful thing about numerology is that had I known numerology at the time, I could have gone back. I could have looked at my chart and I could have said, oh, right, okay, that started March 25th of such and such a year, and it ended March 24th of such and such a year. If I knew that going in, I'd know that I was only going to suffer for a year, okay? Because when you're in it and you're feeling really crappy and you're feeling, swallowed up by this 19-1 essence, you just feel like it's never going to get better. Your life just really sucks. But once I began to understand the cycles, I understood that, okay, it only sucked for then, right? This wasn't determining my life. It wasn't defining my life. It was just a cycle, right? So we have to remember that when we're under the influence of the 19-1 energy, we have to drop down our guards and we have to learn how to ask for help. One of the stories I often tell people who are 19-1s or have a 19-1 in their charts is this. Let's say, for example, you have a 19-1 in your chart. Now, you're a military leader and you're going across a field and you have all your men behind you. And you're starting to come up to this crest of a hill. But just before you get to the crest of the hill, your radio goes off. And you reach in and you listen to your radio and you say, hey. And it's your commanding officer. And he says, hey, guess what? Here's the thing. When you go up over the crest of that hill with your guys, the enemy's on the other side and they're going to blow you up to smithereens. So you might want to come up with an action plan, and you better come up with it quick or you guys are all going to die. Have a nice day. Hangs up. And you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? See, here's the thing. With the 19-1 energy, it causes the 19-1 to be really concerned about their image, right? They're really concerned about how they look in the face of everybody else. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be singled out. They don't want to look like they don't have it all figured out. So a 19-1 should turn around and say, hey guys, I could really use some help here, right? But they don't. They feel really resistant to ask for the help because they're very proud. The ego's in the way. 2 1s equals a whole lot of ego, right? But it's the fact is that we're supposed to be focusing on everybody else, not us, right? That's the lesson in the 19-1. So the best thing to do is to turn around and say to your guys, hey guys, I've just gotten word that once we go over the hill there, the enemy's over there and it's not going to end well for us unless we come up with a plan. Do you think we could come up together collaboratively and come up with a plan where we can help each other to get through this? The men will take a look at you and go, what? Seriously? You want us to help you? Well, wow. Okay. Thanks. Wow. I really appreciate that you would think enough of me to ask me to help, right? See, the 19-1 is afraid to ask for help. They don't reach out for the help. But when you do ask for the help, when you actually do reach out for the help, people are like, wow, you know what? He is a leader. And we really appreciate the fact that he's a leader because he's asking for our help. And that's all good part of leadership, right? So the other thing that the 19-1s will do as parents, for example, let's say you have a child, let's say I'm not a 19-1 and we've got a child and the child's going out in their jeans and the jeans are dirty or they're ripped and torn or whatever. And I'm looking at the kid going, you know what? Haven't you got better jeans in your closet? Can you please go back in and just change your jeans, right? Let's put on some clean jeans for once. That would be a normal response. The 19-1 would respond, hey, would you mind going in and changing your jeans? Because what are people going to think about me? Because you're out there wearing crappy, ratty old jeans, right? It's all about them. So we have to be very sure that we catch that and nip that in the bud when you start throwing out the all about you moments. You have to realize it's not about you, it's about everybody else, right? And putting them forward. So the concept with the 19-1 is that the 19-1 has to learn how to be a leader where they push people ahead, where they help people to get up, the corporate ladder or whatever ladder it is in their life with your support, right? Understanding that when you support them and when they're successful, that's going to look good on you. And their success should be enough for you to feel you're a success, right? It's always about putting the other guy first. So your independence is actually somewhat self-imposed, okay? You create your own little prison. You simply don't want to listen to other people or to accept the help or advice from other people. So it can cause you to feel very isolated. This is not a good place for 11s to be. The 19-1 karmic debt can become a self-imposed prison if you don't open up to the reality of interdependence and the mutual need for love. 19-1s are hugely independent, but they need love just like every other creature on the planet. So how can the 19-1 affect the 11, the master number 11? 11s are also 2s, right? The 11/2, who need to learn how to collaborate with others. The intensity of the 1 energy in the 19-1 is a contradiction to this lesson, right? The 11's learning how to play nice in the sandbox. You guys are always balancing. It's an interesting number, actually, as we talk about this, because the double 1 is double masculine energy, okay? This is learning how to be a leader, how to be assertive, how to be confident, how to be a creator. That's double of the masculine energy, double 1s, right? And then we got single 2 energy, which is the feminine energy. So you guys are always doing this a little bit. Now let's throw 19-1 into the mix and it's like, whoa, you really go off balance, right? So you really need to study the lessons of the 1 independently. Like if you go, study elsewhere on my website or wherever, study the lessons behind the number 1. And in this case, also the independent lesson of the number 9. The 11s need love, where the 19-1 is more inwardly focused. Okay, the 19-1 is all about themselves. The 11s are all about everybody else. The 19-1 is concerned about how they look. They hate to be embarrassed. Oh my God, if they go into a party and you've told them that it's a t-shirt and jeans kind of affair and he walks in and it's a black tie event, it's not going to end well for you. Okay, they don't like to be embarrassed. Their image is hugely important to them. They are all about look at me, look at me, look at me, look what I've done, right? 11s don't like the spotlight. So this is a real contradiction for you. If you have a 19-1 in there, the 19-1, again, it's there to teach you. You're here to overcome this need to have everybody look at you, this need to be on top of your game all the time, this need not to be exposed, right? You don't like to expose yourself. The 11s are shy and they often have difficulty asking for help. The 19-1s refuse to ask for help for fear of exposing themselves, right? So you can see where this is a bit of a tricky, slippery slope. How can the 11 lessen the effects of the 19-1? Recognize that the 19-1 was a demanding, self-serving leader in a previous lifetime. You don't want to be that in this lifetime, right? But the 19-1, it's often I will see the 19-1, particularly as a life path number, fall to the negative side of the 19-1. Very common, right? They have a tall order to fill in terms of learning their lessons. So they come in the same badass they were when they left, right? But with the intentions of improving, right? It's all about evolution. You bring back a karmic debt so that you can evolve and you can get better and you can improve your behavior and overcome the issues that you created in your previous lifetime. So it takes a little bit of time. So you might see a young person with a 19-1 acting on the lesser side, the negative side, right? Whereas you might see a more mature 19-1 acting more on the positive side of the 19-1, which is about being a decent leader, a gentle leader, somebody who is helping others, right, and putting everybody else ahead of themselves. So if you have the 19-1 as a karmic debt in your chart, you need to find ways to become a leader where you can encourage people, where you can support others, understanding that their success is your success. And I often think about businesses, MLMs, multi-level marketing, like Amway, Mary Kay, Shackley, all those sorts of things. And a lot of people frown on them, but honestly, the business model with those things is really pretty amazing because when you think about it, if you sign up for, let's use Shackley as an example. If you sign up for Shackley and you're going to make a certain degree of money when you sell the products. If you sign somebody underneath you when they sell, you're also going to benefit from that. So it's within your best interest to help that person to do well, right? So anybody who's got a 19-1 in their chart, I always say, the MLM, multi-level marketing model, is actually a pretty good one for you because it allows you to be a good leader, to teach people to help themselves. And the 9 is all about teaching people to help themselves, not fixing them. The 9 tends to be the fixing number, but when we're talking about it in this application, it's all about helping people to help themselves rather than you being always the fixer. The key here is to take the focus off of yourself and place it on someone else. Work on collaborative efforts rather than feeling you have to go it all alone, right? Remember, this 19-1 brings in a huge need to be independent, but the big lesson of the 11/2 is all about learning how to be a partner, right? So you've got to somehow figure out how to be the best partner you can be so that you can help people to be of service to humanity on some level. That's that 9. Be more sensitive to other people's needs. Tune into other people's needs rather than focusing on your own needs alone. Learn to balance independence with a healthy dose of interdependence. We can't live on this island all by ourselves. Learn to lead with a gentle hand rather than a dominating approach. The 19-1 tends to be quite big and noisy and loud and, puffed up, right? Because underneath it all, they're kind of insecure, right? But they do tend to kind of put themselves out there. And that's okay, right? We all have our stuff, right? I mean, we all have lessons that we are meant to learn. So we have to cut each other a little bit of slack. But understanding if we have that 19-1 karmic debt sitting somewhere in our chart there, these are just some areas that might come through. You have the opportunity to use this 19-1 as a learning curve, as an opportunity to rise above it. It can produce some obstacles, but obstacles, again, we're not meant to go through an obstacle, we're meant to go over the obstacle, right? We don't have to run into them all the time. That's it for today. I hope that you've enjoyed that. I hope I've enlightened you a little bit about the 19-1 karmic debt. It's a tough one. It's a big one, but it's not unsurmountable. And I always say that, if the challenge is tough, you guys are much tougher than the challenge itself. So if you need to contact me, I am at AnnPerryNumerologist.com. Love to hear from you. I have a blog on my website. I have a newsletter set up there. I don't contact you too often. I'm not going to bug you that much, promise. I've got some courses on Udemy. I've also got my Facebook page, both Ann Perry Numerologist, and I've also got my Master Number 11 portal. If you haven't joined, why not? It's a great place to hang out with 11s just like you. And for those of you who don't know, the masternumber11.com membership just went down in price. It's $11 a month. That's $2.75 a week to get exclusive videos designed to help the Master Number 11s really get growing. Okay, so none of that material is available anywhere else outside of the membership portal. So I would encourage you to check it out. You can join for $11 a month and you can quit whenever you want. That's fine. But would love to see you attend and take part. And would love it also if you would consider subscribing. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your time today. Hoping you're having a great day. Take care. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.